Welcome to In Search for Wellness. Eden's Cellular Wellness Solution is presenting to you a story on carbohydrates. I have prepared a story about concerning our carbohydrates as food and how we can interact with the carbohydrates and develop a healthy carbohydrate culture. We have heard that in Kenya and also in Africa, carbohydrates form a very big portion of our diet. A lot of carbohydrates per year in tonnage or in kilogram is consumed in a country or even in individual families. And so we end up per year consuming a lot of carbohydrates, which is a very important constituent of our diet. We cannot say because carbohydrates makes me put on weight, I am not going to eat carbohydrates anymore. Carbohydrates is very important and needed in the cells for energy and also for growth. This slide presents an example of wholesome carbohydrates. Some carbohydrates that are consumed all over the world, and others are consumed regionally as they manifest or as they are produced by the plants for us in a wholesome state. And carbohydrates which are very good and provide good starches for our daily consumption. Here we have arrowroots. Arrowroots, as they are called, roots that grow deep in the soil. And the whole plant has to be uprooted to harvest an arrowroot. The starch in arrowroot is very, very, very good. It is very good because it is not broken down very easily. It is not digested quickly. It is not broken down quickly into glucose to shoot the blood sugar. And consumption of arrowroot as a starch source is good because it presents good sustenance of glucose in the blood. These are whole maize. Maize is greatly used in Africa and many other parts of the world for starches. Maize in his wholesome state and refined is also very good carbohydrate source because it provides, as a grain, it provides oils, it provides vitamins, it provides proteins, and it also has complex carbohydrates that break down very slowly. This is rice, consumed greatly in the world as a refined rice, but in essence, it's best to consume it unrefined. Potatoes, Irish potatoes are known. These are a type of legume. Legumes also provide starches, but they are greatly known for their protein content. Bananas are loved greatly all over the world in their ripe bananas because they provide glucose for immediate energy when they are ripened. But in other parts of the world, like in Kenya, we also bananas are used in their green states, green bananas. They are used as starch sources. Corn is used as a vegetable in very many parts of the world, but we know that corn also provides starches. It also provides wholesome starch. And corn, like in popcorn, it is popcorn is a very healthy snack. So here, this diagram, it shows us that it is telling us it's good to know our wholesome carbohydrates that support wellness. It is in fact very good to know how to choose our wholesome carbohydrates which will support wellness. In a modern life system where most of our starches is coming, we get most of our starches from the supermarket and most times in the refined states. It is important to know our wholesome carbohydrates so that we can be able to make the correct selection. Welcome in this section too. This is in search for wellness. We are going through the story of carbohydrates. The story of carbohydrates as they interact with our body as food. And in this section, we are going to look at complex carbohydrates and the source of wholesome carbohydrates, where we can get wholesome carbohydrates. So the question here is, why should I eat wholesome carbohydrates? Why should I eat wholesome carbohydrates? We have eaten in this country refined carbohydrates for a very, very long time. And foods made from refined carbohydrates, they are very tasty because the digestion, for example, if you eat white rice or if you eat white chapati or white bread, these foods taste sweet in the mouth. They taste sweet in the mouth because the starch starts the digestion. The digestion of starch starts in the mouth. In the mouth, we have the salivary amylase. We have an enzyme which is called the salivary amylase, which is whose main function is to digest starches. And the digestion of starches start in the mouth. So with refined starches, like white rice, you find that the starch digestion starts very early in the mouth, and that's why the starch is being broken down to sugars. And so the food tastes sweet. The white rice tastes sweet. The white chapatis taste sweet because digestion of starch has started in the mouth. According to the research that has been done by research scientists for a very long time, research reports that are really helping us very much in making the decision and know how we are going to steer through this modern life of degenerative diseases. Researchers have told us and have directed us that it is good to eat our starches when they are wholesome, when they are not refined. So the question is, why should I eat wholesome carbohydrates? Carbohydrate foods are best consumed in their wholesome state, in their unrefined status. For example, the starch from corn, the starch from maize, the starch from rice, the starch from wheat is best consumed in its wholesome state. When it is in wholesome state, when the starch is in wholesome state, we will find proteins, vitamins, minerals, and some other plant chemicals, and also fats. Plants have got so many chemicals in them. There's such a big, broad spectrum of chemicals which are found in plants. And there are such a broad range of chemicals which will also be found in our wholesome starches. For example, corn, wheat, arrowroot, sweet potatoes, Irish potatoes, amaranth grains. There are so many other plant chemicals which are found in these starch foods. Apart from proteins, vitamins, and minerals, there are others which are not identified. The phytochemicals, are plant chemicals. These plant chemicals are not classified as minerals, they are not classified as vitamins or proteins or fats or carbohydrates, but they are special phytochemicals. Like we have seen lycopene in tomatoes, We have seen rutin in carrots, and other orange colored foods. Phytochemicals are other chemicals that have been discovered in our food substances. And these phytochemicals, most of them are acting as antioxidants, and they are very, very, very helpful. That is what we are saying, that it is good to eat our carbohydrate foods in their wholesome state. In their wholesome state, you are going to find the phytochemicals. They have not been removed. We are going to find proteins. We are going to find vitamins. We are going to find minerals. And we are also going to find some fats. And it means that carbohydrate foods in their wholesome state, they supply us with a broader range of nutrients. We are also saying here that their digestion or chemical breakdown is slower. They are digested slowly, and they release glucose slowly into the blood. So if their digestion is slower, for example, if you eat an arrowroot meal, make a soup with arrowroot or something, or just boil or steam the arrowroot on itself, eat with some sauce or some vegetables, just as the supply of starch. You'll find that you'll stay for a long time before you can feel hungry. When you eat arrowroot, you stay for a long time. One, you'll not even feel hungry in the stomach. You'll not feel a desire to eat biscuits or to eat mandazis or to drink a soda, because somehow the body cells are satisfied. The mind is okay. It is at peace. The other good thing is that it will not release a lot of glucose into the blood at the same time. So their digestion or chemical breakdown is slower, and they release glucose slowly into the blood system. That is why it is important to eat our carbohydrate foods in the wholesome state. Complex carbohydrates, when our such foods are consumed in their wholesome state, they will retain their special flavors. All foods have got their own special flavors. And when they are in the wholesome state, when you make your dish and you make, whether you mix them together or cook them separately, they will maintain their special flavors. The grains, for example, wheat, corn, maize, brown rice, amaranth, and legumes like beans, soya beans, grains and legumes are seeds. All these are seeds. And seeds will provide good oils, proteins, vitamins, and minerals. Grains and legumes are seeds which can be planted in the ground, and they germinate. And they have all these nutrients which are required by the young plant. The young plant, as it sets its root and its shoot upwards before it starts manufacturing its own food, depends on the stored oils and fats and proteins and vitamins and the carbohydrates which is stored in the seed. These wholesome foods, wholesome starches, they also provide good fiber. They also provide fiber. Fiber is very, very, very critical. Fiber is very, very critical to ensure that the food's matter does not stay excessively for long hours in the gut system. Fiber helps the movement of food that is being digested in the alimentary canal. Fiber helps it to move faster, and it also helps that it does not stay for too long in the system. So we have seen some of the critical reasons why it is very important that our starch foods, our carbohydrate foods, be consumed in their wholesome state. Remember that we are still looking at the carbohydrate story. The carbohydrate story as our food, as it interacts with our body to give us wellness. If we interacted with it in the wrong way, our wellness will be greatly compromised. So, wholesome starches, wholesome sources. What are the wholesome sources for wholesome carbohydrates? Which foods provide wholesome carbohydrates? Some of the foods that will provide wholesome carbohydrates are wholesome grains. Grains like brown rice, maize, corn, wheat, sorghum, millet, and amaranth. All these are grains, and they can also be milled into flour. It is possible to mill brown rice. I heard someone tell me that brown rice can be milled to be used in children's food. So all these are grains, and they can be milled when they are wholesome to provide flour for porridge, flour for soups. Soups are also good supply and carriers of nutrients. Roots and tubers. Roots and tubers are also good supplies of wholesome carbohydrates like arrowroots, sweet potatoes, Irish potatoes, cassava, yams. All these provide wholesome starches. They are also good sources of wholesome carbohydrates. And ripe fruits like green bananas. Green bananas and plantains. People love bananas. All over the world, you'll find ripe bananas, even in countries where they can't grow bananas, because they are consumed mostly when they are yellowed, when they have yellowed and they have ripened, and most of the starch has been converted into sugar. But you find that in our country, Kenya, and some African countries like Uganda, we'll say we use green bananas as a source of starch, and we cook it green, as in matoke. The plantains falls in the class of bananas, grows in the same form of bananas. But plantains will be found yellow. They will have yellowed on the skin, but even if they have yellowed, they cannot be eaten like ripe bananas. They need to be cooked. They can only be cooked. They can be fried or roasted, and they are very, very nice. The other class is from legumes. Legumes are known to supply proteins, but legumes also have with them a lot of good wholesome starch. So legumes are also good sources of wholesome starches. Such are the sources sources of wholesome starches that we can interact and identify with and learn how to work with them and to cook with them. We are still going on with the story of the carbohydrates, which is the story of our food. We have seen that in this part of the world, in Africa and in our country, that carbohydrate plays a very, very important role towards our wellness. And we can no longer ignore our carbohydrates. And here I'm saying thank you very much for your participation. Thank you for your participation in the story of our carbohydrates as it influences wellness in our bodies. This story may help us enter into a place of carbohydrate metabolism that leads to wellness. I trust that this section has been helpful. Developing a healthy carbohydrate culture is an important step in one's journey to wellness. I wish you all the best in your journey to wellness. This story has been created by Eden's Cellular Wellness Solutions.